Hi, my name is Reagan Smith, and I am a fourth-year undergrad at the University of Georgia. Today I'm going to talk about the use of byproduct feeds in the beef and dairy industries. There has been a lot of research conducted on various byproduct feeds and their nutritional content, as well as their effects on animal performance. I'm going to begin by explaining what byproduct feeds are, and I will mention several that are commonly used in rations. The economics associated with the use of these feeds will also be addressed. I'm going to mention how these feeds can play a role in the environment, and I will end with some other factors that need to be considered when producers are looking to use byproducts. So, the first question many people may ask is, what are byproduct feeds? Most byproduct feeds are what is left over from a commodity used in human consumption and has had an ingredient removed. They can come from a variety of sources such as corn and soybean meal. There are guidelines and recommendations on how much of a particular byproduct to include in a ration to maintain nutrient availability. One of the main reasons producers consider adding byproducts to their feed is the cost effectiveness that can be associated with them. Some of the most common examples of byproduct feeds include brewer's grains, beet pulp, and soy hulls. Some less commonly used but interesting ones include candy, bakery waste, and fresh fruit. This table lists a variety of byproduct feeds and their average nutrient concentrations. These values are often compared to ingredients in the feed, like corn, in order to determine if they could provide an adequate amount of nutrients to the animal and at what amount. So tables like this, which come from a lot of different research studies, you can see there are different byproducts used for different reasons, such as beet pulp and citrus pulp are often energy supplements. And tables like these are really helpful for producers to see, their dry matter percentage or crude protein percent and things like that in order to see if they could possibly use that as a supplement or to replace other ingredients in their feeds. Like I mentioned in the previous slides, byproducts are the result of removing a certain ingredient or ingredients from a commodity. This table just shows a few common raw products and then the products that are made when certain components are removed. So, like I said, a component of the grain is removed and the resulting components are very concentrated. So, as you can see in this chart, brewer's grains are a byproduct of barley, but the starch and the alcohol has been removed. So the components left in the brewer's grain are going to be very concentrated. This is what affects how much of a byproduct you can use in your feeds. One of the main factors, if not the main factor, that is considered when producers are looking to use byproduct feeds is if they can be justified economically. Byproducts need to not only supply enough nutrients to the diet, but they must also be cost effective as compared to the feed product in which they are supplementing or replacing. So if a producer is looking to spend less money on feed by purchasing distiller's grains instead of buying corn, he or she has to determine if it will actually save them money in the long run. Some of the things that they have to consider include availability of the byproduct, shipping costs, and how they are going to store that product on the farm. In the article, Cite and extent of amino acid digestion in dairy cattle fed with corn and its byproducts, it was stated the incorporation of these byproducts into cattle diets could decrease costs without affecting animal production. This statement basically sums up the entire purpose of this slideshow. Byproducts are an excellent source of feed when, for whatever reason, a producer doesn't have the quantity of forages that they need. John Bernard at the University of Georgia stated, when forage supplies are limited during a drought, or when animal numbers are increased without increased forage production, other high-fiber byproduct feeds may be used to extend forage supplies. Both the beef and dairy industries are often critiqued for their outputs into the environment. Producers may be able to minimize their carbon footprints by using byproduct feeds. Because they cannot be consumed by humans or non-ruminants, these feed items often would have gone to waste. Other factors that producers need to consider when choosing byproducts to use in their feed are seasonality and storage and handling. Seasonality needs to be considered because some byproducts are only offered seasonally. This could increase costs for producers if they can only get them during certain times of the year. Storage and handling is a big factor when considering what byproducts your farm can use. Certain byproducts require specific facilities to keep the food from spoiling. The system producers use to feed their cows can affect what byproducts can be used. For example, wet feeds are not a good option for operations that utilize small augers. Also, if byproducts are not used within a certain amount of time, the producers could lose money as the chances of spoilage and shrinkage increases. So, why use byproduct feeds? Byproduct feeds can be a very valuable resource for producers in both the beef and dairy industries. They can offer a lower cost alternative to supply nutrients and feeds without altering the performance of the animal. These feeds may decrease the beef and dairy industry's impacts on the environment. Byproduct feeds will continue to be used in the production of beef and dairy cows as these industries continue to look for ways to mitigate costs while maintaining or improving performance. Thank you for listening.